This weird guy who I don't understand who he is. And we start off with him, and his name is Chad Hughes. And you look at him, he's like, okay, founder. You're like, what the is this? What is this? It says law enforcement / intelligence agency software engineer. If you were really a software engineer for intelligence agency, you don't advertise that. You don't advertise that. But is he really an engineer, or is he like that Chris Boozy guy? Is he really an engineer, or is he just rely on AI to do his work? I don't know. Where did this all start? Well, it all started here on May 9th. And some Brittany Venti says Quartering's an alcoholic pill popper. Everything he says should be read with that in mind. Well, that is if you read it before he deletes his tweet. And he says, oh, his reign is about to end. Drafting a class action for a Monday morning filing with my team. So this was done on the 9th, guys. And if you remember, the 9th was a Saturday. People asked me to look at it. You know how much time I looked at it? I went like this. It's bullshit. I didn't even bother to actually read it. Because number one, the strong move, as Memphis Bleak says, the strong move quiet and the weak start riots. When you are preparing to move on somebody like YouTube, like if you're preparing to make a big move, you descend like a thunderbolt. Like you don't do this. But let's actually look at what he is claiming is here. All right, so let's start. Users affected by Jeremy Hambley included, but not limited to Kino Casino clips. Well, that's not correct. It's clips with an S. This is all like preliminary matters because you know what that means? Nobody's been retained yet. No lawyers are involved. And it says United States District Court for the Central District of California, which is where LA would be. Which isn't the place you would do this. If you're suing Jeremy Hambley individually and Alphabet Incorporated and YouTube, Alphabet and YouTube get sued in the Northern District of California. In California. They're sued in Silicon Valley. Think about all the Acerthorn lawsuits. Those are all done in the Northern District. That's where you go for this. I mean, so as you see this, like the bullshit is already dripping off the page already. I mean, that alone, this is bullshit. I would love to see how you establish venue for Jeremy to be sued in California. I don't know how that would work. You can't do the bullshit of, well, the internet's in Northern California. No. But anyways, users affected by Jeremy Hambley included, but not limited to Kino Casino clips. That's not normally how you do a class action anyway, but like this just doesn't make any sense. Pre-litigation notice and verified putative class action complaint. Okay. And then here this thing is, and this is where it gets even gayer. This even gets gayer. So this document serves as binding pre-litigation notice. According to who? According to who? YouTube is currently harboring a massive legal liability. That is a conclusory legal opinion. That means nothing. That is conclusory. That's fluff. Get it the fuck out. That is not, you don't put that in there. Okay? By blindly enforcing fraudulent DMCA strikes, Jeremy hasn't used the DMCA. He's been striking for nudity, bullying, harassment, and other TOS reasons. Submitted by Jeremy Hambley against Kino Casino Clips channel and others. That's not happened. It has not happened. Jeremy's not used the DMCA because remember, guys, when Chili DeCastro tried to DMCA me, he did such a shitty job at DMCAing me. Even YouTube laughed at him, but I still had to get the notice. YouTube is actively financing a creator with documented public record of alleged on-camera verbal sexual harassment and targeted harassment campaigns. Okay, that's not like what's the legal liability here? YouTube enforces strict global policies against harassment and false copyright claims. Okay, once again, where are we going with this? Yet YouTube fails to enforce its own rules when dealing with Mr. Hambley. This unequal application of terms of service leaves YouTube's directly complicit. No, they're literally a private business. They can do whatever the they want. They can enforce the rules or not. You don't have contract. You have no privity with them. Your terms of service are, we'll do what the you want and you'll have to deal with it. You know, if YouTube restores the targeted channels immediately, we will consider the matter resolved. Regarding Alphabet. What? You don't do this in a thing like this. You would send a letter, but what the If you ignore this notice, this complaint will be formally docketed and YouTube will be forced into legal discovery to explain why it financially supports an alleged sexual harasser while terminating his victims. No, 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 you're not. YouTube will fucking crush you. Google will crush you. You will not get to discovery. You are going to get laughed out of court. This ain't working, son. This ain't working. And this is just page 1 into page 2. And this is all this guy's released. Like, you know, this is where, once again, like I will say, using a JRism, flop your nuts on the table. Let's see your whole lawsuit, homie. Because this is just dog shit. This is just dog shit. The factual allegations against Jeremy Hambley. Hambley operates his YouTube channel by weaponizing the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Not true. He hasn't done that. So they would deny this allegation. This is actually incorrect. This is false. It's a false fact. Hambley submitted materially false copyright infringement notifications against Kino and others. Nope. Even if that's true, that's not what happened. It didn't happen, buddy. He knew the content was protected by fair use. There's no issue of fair use. There's no issues of fair use. He perjured himself on DMCA web forums. He never used any of these. This thing literally never happened, Chad. This is schizo posting. You know, the abuse extends far beyond copyright fraud. He actively defrauded the editor of the channel. How? Extracting labor and refusing to pay the owed compensation. This is wage theft, plain and simple. How is this theft? And how is this fraud? Number one. Number two, what courses of action are you suing here? Fraud has to be pled with particularity. How are you alleging fraud? This is sovereign citizen level shit. This is ridiculous. Yeah, they were done for ban evasion, not DMCA. And then this is not how you do a complaint. We possess direct message proving unequivocally Hambley weaponizes his platform says. That doesn't go in a complaint like this. He stated his channels that his messages his YouTube power is such he could simply make a phone call and take someone down. This proves his strikes are legitimate copyright claims, but targeted administrative assassinations. Once again, that even if that, like, let's assume that's true. Is that even actionable? Let's delete the copyright part of this. But this here, the strikes are not copyright claims. Erase that from this chat. Here, you know what? We'll even do this. This proves his strikes are targeted administrative assassinations. So what? That's not a tort. That is not a cause of action that you can identify. That is not a cause of action you can identify. To maintain his echo chamber, Hambley relies on a pattern of digital and real-world toxicity. So what? So what? What does that got to do with the complaint? On the X platform, he engaged in consistent public drunken rambling. So what? So what? So what? When anyone attempts to hold him accountable for his false flags, he immediately blocks everyone on X. So what? So what? So the what? What the is this? What is this? Silence dissent and direct his fan base to orchestrate targeted takedown campaigns against his critics. What the is this? This is schizo posting. Most disturbing is Hambley's real-world conduct. We have documented review. Hambley engaged in online verbal sexual harassment at local Renaissance fair. What relevance does that have to this? That's not anything relevant. Hambley's attempted to publicly dismiss this as a mere joke. The law does not recognize sexual harassment as a joke, and neither should the platform that pays him. This is like I had to read this and see it's bullshit. Like, and once I read it, it was even more retarded. This is like Russell Greer level shit. And we only have these 2 pages because he's a bitch and he won't show us the rest. But what happens after that? Well, I get involved because somebody finally links me into it. And what do? I point out it's a schizo post. I start here on the 13th saying, y'all want to see some schizo posting. And because here's how this guy starts with his complaint that he files. He starts using this as some sort of attempt to threaten and scare people. And it's like, you are the mouse. You are a roaring mouse, buddy. He says, now that the affected creators have more money behind them, I would suggest that Jeremy, who blocked me, take this seriously. This is a draft. There are 115 exhibits so far. It would behoove Melanie Mac and YouTube and the court to govern themselves accordingly. Yeah, okay. Like, you're gonna, like, this is where the guy starts. We're putting our lawsuit together. Here we go. Oh, we have more, actually. And he says, YouTube holds itself out as a platform with strict guidelines. However, YouTube's entirely negligent in enforcing them. YouTube acts as a blind enforcement arm for Hambley. Nope. Not really helpful. By terminating Kino clips on the false DMCA strikes, not true. YouTube has breached an implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing. I mean, okay, now we're using some lawyer terms. YouTube cannot claim to protect creators while simultaneously terminating victims of targeting campaigns led by a creator who allegedly commits on-camera sexual harassment. Okay, once again, that doesn't work. And they say misrepresentation under the DMCA. There is no DMCA. There is no copyright claim. This is actually fraudulent activity here. This would be a completely frivolous lawsuit. This is a Rule 11 violation. If you filed this, your ass would be grass. This is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense, Chad. It's just horseshit. You know, but like the cringe keeps rolling though. Because he says, when we get to Discovery, we will see what Germany and Melanie Mack and Chrissy Mayer were really getting up to. You're not getting Discovery on this. You're not getting Discovery. But he's gassing people up. You know, and he's like, I've done a few episodes for some people you probably know. I've done fact and guide sheets for their episodes. I've won some debates for creators behind the scenes. Sorry, Jer, I'm real. What, you're a real fucking retard? People think I'm joking about going at Crytek and winning. If you guys know what Crytek is, they, you know, the CryEngine and winning, but getting blacklisted from the internet and Twitch. You can literally use Google AI to find out I'm not joking. I am Frankie Frameskip. I have backups on YouTube and proof. I did Warface to make it famous with sponsors. Okay. And then he's babbling about shit we don't know. And notice what he's using, Google AI to explain his shit. And it's like, buddy. As this goes on, he gives a shout out to Camelot for pulling up the filing draft. Which, once again, I don't blame people who aren't lawyers for getting involved in this. But it's so... This guy's such a piece of shit, he gets people involved. He says, I've been a streamer longer than most of you have existed. Okay, they don't scare me. And, you know, and he says, well, since Jeremy blocked me, tell him spoliations are frowned upon. Juna King already did the documentary with the clips, and then you delete it and then lie about deleting. And he's like, whew, this is bad. Okay. As this goes on here, this guy just keeps on thinking it's, you know, he's trying to get involved. He thinks he could stop people. This is just ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And eventually, listen to this guy. All it took was a lawsuit and his worst nightmare to person me to get this dude Jeremy Hammer to deactivate his Twitter. You can't talk money games when someone has more. How much money you got, motherfucker? It's like in Gran Torino. How many bullets you got, homie? How many bullets you got? Not enough. Can't lie when everyone has proof. Tried to delete Count Dankula and the TISM as soon as the draft of the class action came down for me. Can't run from the filing. Should have restored them and removed. He's like, I'm just getting started. Now it's your turn to be fair. Jeremy needs help. You're woeful ignorant, taking advantage of your friends. What, like, and this is where, like, I start, you know, this guy's so full of shit. He says, I don't like revealing DMs, but I can tell you ran due to the lawsuit threat because I literally said, I'm your worst nightmare. Nobody's getting away with breaking unwritten laws of content. That's literally, yes, he is, because they're unwritten laws of content. Holy shit. This guy is in a manic state. You know, and he comes in here, just to be clear, I make zero money from this. I haven't done so much as a 10-second video. I can make more videos for YouTube, which I have not. I simply match his energy, as the kids say. This man needs actual life-saving help. All the hate is warranted besides the self stuff that isn't cool. But now he's forced to disappear. He can get right with the Lord and come back stronger. And he says, this doesn't mean the lawsuit doesn't get filed. This doesn't mean everyone doesn't deserve to hold his feet to fire. Doesn't mean there are consequences. Okay, well, all right. Well, this is weird. This is weird. This guy doesn't stop. And he thinks, you know, he's starting to go after Chrissy Mayer. And he thinks he's Brittany Venti. You know, like, oh, I'm fighting the fight here. You know, this, and it doesn't stop. And then finally, you know, this is where it takes people to call him out. And he says that, you know, updating the lawsuit, legal mindset was correct. And anyways, this is now the 13th. So remember, the guy said on Monday, we were going to make it happen. On Monday, there was going to be hell to pay. We were going to drop that bomb. And it's already Wednesday. And shit ain't happened yet. So what happened? Death by 10,000 cuts strategy was the approach. The leaked draft was a tactic to force panic and scramble, which worked exactly as planned. If you check the timestamps when I posted the draft, nearly immediately afterward, he began scrambling, deleting videos, and apology tweeting. This is basic grade school legal strategy. Oh, really? Are you a lawyer, mother? Oh, really? You're talking to me about strategy. You know, for a second here, I thought Lolsuit is talking to me or something. And he says, now for the update. As limited law, who I'm retaining, how are you retaining them? You're not the client. With contract overview by Clearing Gottlieb. That's not how this shit works. You don't retain an attorney for a class action and then hire another law firm to come like, what are they overseeing? What contract overview? What is this shit? What is he talking about? I'll be in touch with them later this week, and the victims who have reached out have already had their identities protected. I don't leak stuff. This is serious. Why are you talking, period? Now to address this stuff. I don't play content games. I never said I spoke to them once. I never said I'm representing them. It was a draft, and they were on as possible victims. You're acting like you're representing them. If I start slapping documents on the internet, there's a presumption you are representing these people. But you know what? I never said I was an attorney. Then why are you around in this, buddy? You held yourself out like you were a motherfucking attorney. And you start threatening lawsuits and all kinds of shit out there. That's not good. You're now co-signing people to your nonsense. And that's not fair to anybody. That's actually of the highest order. You're a bigger piece of shit than Jeremy Hambley at that point. Because now, like, people look like you're doing this. And PPP wants a lawsuit. And Worski wants a lawsuit. Guess what YouTube's going to do? Shut up, and they're not going to talk to you. You're not going to scare Google. They're not afraid of you. But it just doesn't stop. And eventually, PPP has to tell this guy to fuck himself. But in the meantime, I'm not the lawyer. Then how are you getting involved? You, like, hooking people up? Are you now representing people? This is stupid. Never wanted clout. It sounds like you need clout. Don't need it. I have a real life of accomplishments. I don't care about the internet thinking I'm cool. Well, good, because I think you're a dumb. I wanted to do something actionable for victims that were not getting justice. Calling me a pussy chasing clout was weak as fuck. It's all good, though. The reason I started is because I made content at the inception, okay? I made plenty of money, got involved with Crytek and exposing the former leadership and dropped proof of that from Google. I only even knew about this because people I know on YouTube texting me and watching the Legends Smash 18 Stunning Greg. You have to remember, real lives are at stake here. Yes. So why are you around in it if you're not part of it? Jeremy needs to be held to account and pay for his mistakes and compensate those he hurt. It's not ever going to happen. The only way you can do it is to shame him and ostracize him. Sadly, that's the way of the world. While simultaneously committing to a program for rehabilitation, that's okay. That's not how that works. I don't care to be on videos or anything like that. It's nothing new. I was literally in Lauren Hill's studio a month ago with Legends. Okay, great. Did they all clap on the bus? You think I want attention? Yes. Yes, you do. Remember, the strong move quiet. If you move, you move. And you move strong. And you move fast. And you hit hard. That's why I haven't made a single video. You're doing all this. My hand now seems to be forced, but only for informative purposes and not monetized. Yes, I monetize on 4 platforms. I just use different monikers. In summary, boys and gals, a lawsuit is real and filed. No, it's not. It's not real. It's not been filed. It's not been filed. Jeremy needs to pay. Kino Casino was inaccurate about the filing on the stream. No, they were right. You're a hack. I don't play internet games and things like this. You are. Mario, how you doing, brother? This dude did something actionable, but not in the way I think he wanted. Something that encouraged civil liability. It can. It can. You run around talking about lawsuits that are getting filed. If you're not an attorney, shut the fuck up. This is at this guy's height of a manic state or something, I think. But anyways, this guy comes at me. And he starts coming out. He's like, not really schizo posting. I just want to clear things up. The final lawsuit doesn't include them. But you included them initially. I never meant to overstep. If you were a lawyer, you would know better. I simply have been through way bigger situations and got sick of what I perceive as them being treated fairly. And I'm not scared of what Jeremy says he can do. Plus, Jeremy needs rehabilitation, okay? I'm just wanting them to correct for some things for actually. Jeremy is going to be hawking X waiting for something like this to happen. I took accountability, corrected the mistake, and publicly did it so he knew it was never adversarial content related or to be an enemy. No content's created, and I was immediately posted for strategic reasons. If that's schizo posting or whatever it's called, I can't help that. I made a mistake, corrected it. I still donate to them. I support them, just not publicly as per request. Because you know what happened? PPP said, nobody asked you to do this. You're inserting yourself into this seeking your own reasons, and they're harming us. Yes, because you've attached their name to a thing you're threatening to file. And he says, please fuck off. Your filings aren't worth the paper they're written on and are hurting us. And I mean, like, really, and I hate to quote tweet myself here, but yeah, guy sounds like he's deep in a manic phase. You know, he lists law firms that don't work. I've never heard of a Slimmy Law. You know, I Googled it. It wasn't a thing. You know, but more importantly, finally admit he's not an attorney. But he claims he drafted a complaint some law firm's going to run with. That's not how this works. And he goes, drafting a complaint to gather evidence is standard practice. No, it's not. Do you have any basic idea? As a matter of fact, people tried to grok it and got corrected. That doesn't mean shit to me. Grok's retarded. Also, autocorrect me up. Oops. Well, it's kind of a big deal. You're throwing out name drops. You better drop the right name. You're trying to drop names of law firms that are apparently important, big swinging dick nut like draggers. If you're going to tell me you're bringing in some pipe hitters, you better use the right names. You know, will you repost and say you were wrong? No, because I'm right. You use the wrong thing. Will you delete your post? No, motherfucker, I don't delete shit. Or is this more of that content shit? I don't know, homie. You tell me. I guess game recognizes game. I guess. You know, and this, you don't get to be sloppy and then be indignant. And yes, I'm waiting for Monday, buddy. It's Friday, motherfucker. Where's your filing? Let's go. You keep talking about how you're going to whoop some ass. Yet there you stand not doing a thing. He's like, it's not bullshit. This was during drafting to put the word out for a Monday morning filing. It's not about suing Google. It's about showing them you're willing to do something about it. Then why are you filing the lawsuit? The law doesn't work like you think. It works like I think because I'm a lawyer. Holy shit. You know, he's like, I think it's sloppy. It's a typo. Nor me being indignant. I don't know. Let's see here. What does he say? Further, the internet wants a fiery blaze and explosion. You were threatening that. You claimed you were going to bring down a Germageddon. And, you know, and you're like, I'm going to drop a bombshell. And it's full of mouse farts. He says, that's not how legal works. There's a process. Yes, and you're not doing it at all. There is evidence and strategy. Based on what? You're talking to me about how to go to war, and I have mud on my boots. You've never even went to, like, you never went to school, homie. There's patience to see what happens after the waters churn to see what made it to landfall. That's not how you do litigation. That's how you get in trouble. That's not how litigation works. By the way, bruv, respect to London town, mate. I'm not being adversarial, not being a dick. Everything I said is proof, and I take accountability for jumping the gun. Looks like the courting was a straight disgusting tyrant, and the Renaissance Fair put me over the edge. Okay. I also apologized privately days ago to PPP and made YouTube aware they're not involved at all. That's probably too late for that. Nomenclature suggests otherwise, so I did what I was asked to do. Still support them. We just want two different types of justice. Dead serious about the pressure. I appreciate the fact someone like you is holding feet to the fire. All love, just like I said to PPP. I never started beef. I just wanted to correct it. It's not your thing to fix. Why are you co-signing on shit that ain't yours? This ain't your story. I just want to correct it, which I hope you do as well. I mean, what the think I'm doing? You're doing the right thing. Yes, calling you out for being a loser. Yes, I'm doing the right thing. It's so stupid. You're around in lawsuits, bro. Like, what the is this guy doing? You know, John Renton says, yeah, Worski kind of brought up some information today. And yeah, here's what Worski said they did. We went through some legal channels and got YouTube's quartering YouTube rep to get felted and got it removed from both cases. They were forced to close both case files, which although we lose the channels, we are now able to reapply for new channels, which is in process now. Suffragere. Yeah. And this is where Worski, I didn't know this, but this is good to know here. If your manager's not closing your case, that's so you can't reapply for a new channel. But if you go to legal channels, what happens is the manager loses the case and it's sent to a higher up team. Now that it's closed, we can reapply using new policies, but we need to wait a certain amount of time. If we were in limbo, we would never be able to get a new channel, which is what part of their plan was. Oh, hey, Chad, I guess you found in something you didn't understand, you stupid of a human being. But somebody brings up, why won't the channels be reinstated? My guess is they don't want to deal anymore with getting a million of. No, it's just that they don't care. You're not a problem to them. They don't worry about it. And it sounds like because their editor is based in the, like, Flake is in the EU and out of Ireland, he was able to use EU consumer protection law to help them.
I asked him,
which is a brilliant way of doing it. So shout out to Craig from Side Scrollers that he went out and questioned Worski about what's going on, doing the real journalism out there, doing that real good shit. Me and Copia brought up, this is from Craig from Side Scrollers, and this is actually important information here.
But the way they did this was both lucky and genius. I asked him if they knew who the rep was, and they said that YouTube did not tell them who the rep was. Okay. He said, but we filed with a lawyer for just the clip account, and both cases got shut down. But outside of that, they wouldn't tell any more details. But here's the thing. This is the crazy thing about this. And I hope they talk about this more, because this is so lucky and so fascinating. He says, we went through the EU legal system, which requires YouTube to close the appeal, or they get fined 6% of their profits. And the reason this works out is because their editor.
Wait. You're telling me there's a way to handle things instead of going, I'm going to sue you? Yes. Real lawyers seek to avoid lawsuits at all costs. Anything but a lawsuit is a way to resolve something in your client's favor. That's how professional attorneys work. How do we fix this? Can we use the law? Yeah, Flake lives in Ireland, so they used EU law to put the screws to YouTube. And it's, why would I file a lawsuit if the EU already has a law in place? You type up a letter, send it in, and they go, well, they got to comply. But anyway, here we go. Let's listen to the rest of this.
Editor is from over there, and that's like the one place you can do that.
But this is great. I mean, this is better than going to making up a class action lawsuit and then having another law firm do contract compliance. Like, I'm gonna hire all these law firms and they're gonna everybody's gonna do a little piece of it. Like, no.